What is up, everyone? Matt back with Geoff for another real review, and today's one is special because it's a TV review. I did one of these earlier this year with Omri Moses for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and now I get to do it on what was my most anticipated TV project of the year outside of Daredevil Born Again, and that's with the studios starring Seth Rogen, Kathryn Hahn, and a host of others. Geoff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I got a chance to check this show out, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I haven't had the opportunity. I mean, I've had opportunities to have access to things to see some shows early, and I've either never taken it up on it, or the access I have is after the fact when it's already been made available to the public. So this is the first time I'm actually getting to see a show thing early and get to really dive into something without any early conversation, any potential discourse, because in this day and age, everyone has to figure out some sort of discourse about something. Just it was cool getting to jump in with literally only one person I know that I can talk to while I'm watching it who had seen it.
To be fair, we've had access for the same amount of time.
We've had access for weeks.
Over a month at this point.
Yeah, because we were like, oh yeah, the embargo is going to be the day it drops. No, actually, the embargo drops like 3 weeks earlier for the general review.
Yes,
for this
the general
review. Yeah.
We'll get into the specifics of the first two episodes, and we will be giving general thoughts of the entire season. But yes, when we saw the embargo drop like 3 weeks earlier, we're like, oh, well, shit. Just I guess that's the kick in the ass I needed to get to watching this.
Or as Seth Rogen says, fuck.
I'm pretty sure that's his favorite line ever because every chance he gets.
Yeah.
But no, this show, part of the reason it was one of my most anticipated, besides being a Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg project, because their stuff always is just amazing. Was I am very much a whore for movies and TV shows about the filmmaking process and the behind the scenes and the studio drama. I eat that shit up, except Babylon. Fuck Babylon. But I said that's piss off, Jeff. But no, I was very much looking forward to this, and it really did not disappoint. The performances are so hilarious, but at times they're just very real, and I thought that was the biggest key to it for me. But also, the thing I loved most about this show is it's the perfect amount of inside baseball, but also the perfect amount of you don't have to know what this stuff is to love what's going on, and that is what really sold it for me.
Yeah, I know I was messaging with you about that a little earlier before we made this recording. I think that there are a lot of projects out there that when it's it's in the entertainment industry, specifically, it seems to be an entertainment industry thing where people are like, oh, it's a little too inside baseball. And I love Babylon.
I know, but I'm telling the truth in regards to that.
That's very inside baseball, but it's cool, the inside baseball there, because it's such a unique one versus how we kind of see what goes on with studio stuff today, which happens to be what this show is.
Yes.
It's from the perspective of a new studio head, and it's cool. We get to see all the inner work, not all, obviously. It's
a lot of the inner work,
but we get to see a lot of stuff that's dramatized versions of exactly what you'd expect studios to jump through, or the bullshit that they put up with and that other filmmakers, artists put up with people from studios, in order to just get this art out there. And I think that it's done really successfully. When Matt said, hey, the embargo is not March 26th, it's actually March 7th. Do you think you can watch all this? And he told me this on March 5th. And I said, yeah, sure, I got you. And March 6th, I watched all 10 episodes of it.
It just sucked you in, right?
Yeah, I got locked in into it, and I watched it all the way through. Now, there's an energy, there's a rhythm to this kind of show that maybe it's not going to hit everyone, which is fair. Different tones work for different people. But I gotta say, as someone who I know, since its win just over 10 years ago now, at the time of this recording. That since it's big Oscar wins at the Oscars, Birdman. I know some people are less high on it, but I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, and this feels right into that. Down to there's all sorts of long takes and the kind of music that's blasting during it, the way people are yelling at each other with the
The
camera.
trumpet.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of that stuff. It feels very Birdman. It feels very like the Golden Hour camera retrieval sequence in Babylon. A little bit of that Enora. Lots of people yelling at each other in a room, trying to like everyone's kind of on the same page, but they're yelling at each other anyway because they're acting like they're not. It's what's great is that like you get stressed just like you do in all those other ones, but at the same time, it's so much funnier.
Yes.
Because you have all of these very funny people working on this, and they're all really smart. So they know how to maximize the anxiety and stress that comes from this kind of work while never losing the ability to play into the absurdity behind making
Yes.
a shitty movie.
Yes. 110%. And we'll talk about the first 2 episodes real quick before we give our general thoughts on the rest of the season. First episode is the promotion, which is where right in the beginning it's Seth Rogen's character Matt. Matt Remick. I was so happy about that name.
Is it individual episodes are allowed to talk, or is it just the general thoughts about the whole season? Because I'm looking in there.
I see it. You are correct.
Yeah.
Just
general about the whole. We could talk about the cast. We could talk about the
cast.
cast. We could talk about the basic themes, and we could talk about bits of things that we like. Without going into enough specifics.
Yeah. Well, the specifics I was about to go into are the trailer. Like.
Yeah.
So you have Matt Remick, who's played by Seth Rogen, and he's all of a sudden thrust into the studio head position after his the CEO of the company lays off the studio head prior to him, who was like his mentor. And now this is just it. The thing I like about this is each episode there's a time jump, and like it's just how it is, because it's, I would say, what would you say, probably like a 6 to 8 month period there.
It might be something like that. Like it feels like it's something similar to that, where it's more of each episode, and it's been talked about before. The finale, the last 2 episodes of this 10 episode season are a 2-parter, but every story that they're telling in episode 1, 2, 3, they're all dealing with like essentially one issue that a studio has to deal with, like for the A storyline. And so we get to like dive in rather than it being one specific overarching narrative. We get to see the ins and outs of different things they have to tackle and how that affects their egos and what they actually want to accomplish. Where it's a studio, how much of this is commercial versus how much of this is in it for the art, and it juggles all those things in a way that I think makes it perfect for television, which is funny because this is all about movies. This is a series where the characters who run a movie studio turn their nose up at television. So very funny that they turned that into an episodic television series. I think that they knew what they were doing when they did.
Oh yeah.
So each story different, and they tackle all sorts of fun stuff, from things as simple as studio like executives that want to be there during a day of shooting, to who gets thanked in an acceptance speech, to
dating as a studio head.
Yeah, parking spaces, assigned parking spots, which, by the way, is something that, as we said, the difference between inside baseball and stuff that anyone connect with. A lot of people know about what it's like to have assigned parking spots versus what happens if you park in an assignment. Like it really plays into a lot of that in a really fun, clever ways.
I will say one of the most clever and funny episodes of the bunch, outside of the finale, which we'll talk a little bit about after this, was the casting episode, where it's going into this episode trying to figure out the cast for this film. They're trying to make the next Barbie, and with such an out there IP, and it was just so funny.
And it's exactly what you expect when you look at it. I hate to give anyone with deplorable ideas like any shred of like oh maybe you're right about this, but it's like it really plays into the whole like oh no, everything we do we're going to upset someone. How do we
Exactly.
not upset anyone? And it's really really fucking funny.
Yes, and I laugh because like the last two episodes, I can just tell you tie into CinemaCon. And we'll leave it at that. And I laugh because I'm like, part of me wishes this show is just dropping all at once because it's dropping around the time of
Of
CinemaCon.
CinemaCon, which would be incredible for that to happen. For those who don't know, CinemaCon, that's where studios give presentations to like
To the
what is it,
theater
like the
owners
big
and
theater owner
theater owners,
organization
musicians
to
and
help
press.
prop up what projects they have, like what's their upcoming slate. Like when you think of Comic-Con and
And,
whatnot now, where they're dominated by movie slates, you see Kevin Feige come out with like, here's the 8 next movies we have in this phase 18 of this project here. And it's like, well, it's sort of like that, but for a studio
studio.
for a bunch of their movies, to these people who might potentially showcase their
So,
movies. So
and also
they need to build it up so that way the theater owners agree they would want to have that movie in there. They're excited because I think people will come.
and also on a smaller scale, it's the whole negotiating with candy distributors and things like that. Like
Everything.
CinemaCon is, if you own a movie theater, I will do whatever I can to work with you to cover CinemaCon. Let me just put that out there right now.
I know someone who runs a movie theater.
Oh, you going to CinemaCon?
No, not gonna happen.
But no,
And
like in
I
the
know
past.
someone. I didn't say that I talked.
But in the past, CinemaCon, like studios will even show some of their most anticipated movies. A few years ago, WB showed an unfinished cut of The Flash, and that's where we heard all this good general buzz about it. And then we all saw it 2 months later. Woo! But you get the point. Like, so that for a studio head like Matt Remick, being able to make a name for yourself at this presentation is massive. So like just things like that are what I had so much fun with. I do got to give some shout outs to the cast because like we
Yeah,
all know
absolutely.
what to expect from Seth Rogen and Kathryn O'Hara. Like, hey, and it feels like anytime you have Ike Barinholtz as Seth Rogen's best friend in the movie, their chemistry is just gonna be.
Look, any project that features that features, hold on, let me see if these names are announced before I say anything. Okay, one name I
Yeah,
know is definitely not announced, so I won't say it. But I know that like, projects that have Seth Rogen and Ike Barinholtz, they definitely turn out to be like some of the better stuff that they do,
yeah,
comedy wise. Here's no different. They got great chemistry. They play off each other really well. Seth Rogen is the neurotic guy who gets the promotion to studio head, and it comes with all of the anxiety and stress that comes with it that he's so good at, in his own way. While Ike Barinholtz, he's so good at being funny, smarmy. He can be a real piece of shit,
oh yeah,
in a good way. I mean, like complimentary, and just the way that they work together is really fun. Kathryn O'Hara, I mean,
Kathryn
it's
O'Hara is a star.
it's difficult to really add on to anything once someone is one of the greatest of all time. What else can you say?
Yes,
Right?
she
She's always incredible.
she arguably I give that she's arguably the greatest character actor of the last 20 or 30 years.
She's absolutely one of. If we're talking about someone who I think that in due time, their ability to juggle drama and comedy, maybe they could be one of the goats of all time. It's just, we got to see more, at it. Like Kathryn Hahn, also so
Yes,
good. Kathryn Hahn, whatever you put her in, she understands the assignment. She
yes,
knows exactly what kind of tone you're going for, whether it's, a drama, whether it's a comedy, any sort of like blend of the two. She's good at everything. And, being a jack of all trades is great when you're someone who's able to, get into it the way she is. It's funny. I think of there's a line from one episode about he's a studio exec, Seth Rogen. So one thing that he is told, and a piece of advice that he gives is to a filmmaker, is go bigger.
Yeah.
Just go as big as you can. Kathryn Hahn knows when to go as big as you can and when to just take a moment and just play into what's happening there. You have to she brings down the
Mhm.
energy when she has to, and she knows at a moment where it's peak absurdity, she knows, well, at this moment, I'm about to just make out with someone. She just knows what she's doing. And
Mhm.
I think that she might be one of my favorite performances in the whole series so
Yes.
far.
And I will say, I want to give out a shout out to Sui Wonders for who I thought had an underrated performance in this series because I wanted to see more of her character Quinn. I think we got to see quite a lot of her, but I still was left wanting more because outside of Matt, she has the biggest transition out of anyone, and I
She
wanted to
does.
explore that a little bit more. We do get an episode where you really are diving into it, and I appreciated that episode.
We do
Um,
have plenty of development with her. I would love to see more growth for her character and what
yes,
they do after. That's no way saying she's a weak link. It's just more
no,
like when you have the way this show works. These are famous people making a show about famous people or about the people that run the studios that help people stay famous.
mhm.
Um, so there's a lot of cameos from different people. There's supporting performances that you would be surprised actually show up in the way they do. Here's an act like one person. There are all sorts of people that have already been previously announced that we can at least mention how they are in the show. Like for instance, other famous people that show up and just steal every moment they're on screen. Zoe Kravitz is top of the list, I think.
Uh, I'm looking at the IMDb. Parker Finn is on that list. Anthony Mackie is on that list.
Parker
Zach
Finn,
Efron.
who a couple years ago people didn't even know his name, and most
I
people probably still
know.
don't because they don't pay attention to filmmaker names. He's the writer director of Smile and Smile 2,
Well, too.
and what they use him for
Cleveland,
here is
Cleveland,
really
stand
funny.
up, baby! Cleveland, stand up! I'm
Yeah,
kidding. He's Akron,
I'm
but still.
sitting.
But you get like
Yeah.
there's so much fun to be had, and
Bryan Cranston knows when he's in a comedy, he's like, I have to be very
big.
funny
He's
because
big.
as great as funny as he was in Malcolm in the
In the
Middle,
middle.
people still really know him from
From
Breaking Bad more now. So I
I would say
I think that his
it varies in our age range because our age range you
it
get
does,
people
but
where
I
it's
think
almost a
that
50-50 split.
overall, I think more people now probably consider him because of Walter White. So I think maybe that's helped him as he's gotten older too, being able to go for broke more, and
Hmm.
he goes for broke here a little bit.
Yes,
He goes for
and
broke a
it
little bit.
works. It
It
really
works.
really works.
Um, Dwayne Perkins, also always a pleasure to see him. The guy he co-wrote and
Yeah.
starred in The Blackening, and he just comes on and like he'll give an eye roll, and it's like all you need from him for him to like shine. He's so funny.
uh,
Um, just
um,
so many good people that came into here. Martin
yes.
Scorsese. Martin Scorsese,
Who is in the trailer?
maybe
So that is not
yeah, one
that was a
he
great way to start the
he's
show.
Martin Scorsese, one of the greatest filmmakers to ever live.
Yes.
Who always makes the most of whatever small role he has in a movie that he puts himself in or whatever. Arguably the best part of Shark Tale, talking about roles he gets. But here, yeah, like he really plays into that persona as well, kills it. So the kind of cast that they were able to assemble of people that are filmmakers behind the scenes that then still do a great job are great because I think what actually helps is the more I'm thinking about it, all the filmmakers they have that are behind the scene, like they're all known now for directing, they
Hmm.
all have good experience being on screen actors as well.
Hmm. Yes.
All of them. Olivia
Absolutely.
Wilde, Peter Berg, Parker Finn, I think, is the only one that really doesn't have
Yeah.
much on
Uh,
screen work.
and I don't think Nick Stoller has much on screen either,
Yeah. Yeah, he's
but
definitely not. Oh, is he on IMDb there with that?
yep, he's IMDb.
Got it, cool. Yeah, so he's any project that features Seth Rogen, Ike Barinholtz, and Nick Stoller, normally good time.
Yes.
This is one of those.
Yeah,
But
if
I know I interrupted you. Chase Sui Wonders, I just want to say, yeah, I want to see more from her next season because everyone else, they're going to get like good
oh yeah,
focus within the stuff. I want to see more from her because I find what her character is doing might actually be some of the most interesting stuff too.
yes,
Um, she, but the work that she does is great. She
yeah.
also, once again, totally locked in. I love her work when she was in Bodies, Bodies. I haven't seen Generation,
I
but
love to say for me, I was a fan of her in Bupkis. I loved her in
Oh,
Bupkis.
Bupkis is also great. I like Bupkis quite a bit. I'm disappointed that that only went for one season, but
Another one of those behind the scenes in the life of. Well, that
mhm,
one was in the life of a specific star, but you get the point. Like,
yeah.
this still just dumb fun.
Just I also want to say the design of the main studio building, the office, the
Yes,
logo. I like everything
felt
about what they
so
did there.
reminiscent of Paramount to me.
It feels very Paramount. It feels very classic Hollywood,
Hmm.
which is very funny because they're all trying to treat stuff as current Hollywood. Except for Seth Rogen, who is both has
He's
Matt
trying
Remick,
to
who's
be
both
the
trying to
bridge.
juggle. Yeah, he's like, I'm told that I have to make sure that he gets told they make movies, not films,
No,
which is once again a very funny
very
joke
fun.
because
Yes,
like
studios
it's such. I
nowadays.
used to be that kind of guy who's like, oh yeah, I like films, not movies. Then I realized, what an asshole. Who says that? They're the same thing.
Apparently, Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. What an asshole. Who says that? You say Martin Scorsese. Well, Martin Scorsese can have a pass on literally anything within the things that I'm allowed to say he's allowed to have a pass on.
But no, I mean, like it.
I want to see Rebecca
Well,
Hall in more comedies. Damn it.
yes. I also I love the way it's shot because it has like a film grain look to it a lot of the time with this
Hmm.
yellow with this classic golden hour color palette going its way, and
Yes.
I just dug the living hell out of that.
Hmm.
Uh, and I'm like, I know this is probably filmed on digital. I'm not stupid, like, but the way that nowadays studios are able to film digital and make it look film or make it look like film are fantastic. We've seen it with Dune, we've seen it with the Batman, and I dig the absolute living hell out of it.
I think it looks great. I love the like. I was a big fan of the Birdman cinematography from Emmanuel Lubezki, one of the greatest of all time. No shit, he's able to be influential to all sorts of people. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
this. And the work that they did for this to make it kind of feel that way with there is some long shots where it's like, wow, they're just driving a car for a long time
Mm-hmm.
doing this stuff, and then they go in, they do all this stuff, and it's like, oh my god. Like I get that it's a cross stitch, that like there's like a secret stitch that they do, like someone walks past
Yes.
a frame and that's or someone walks up to a door and presses on it or knocks and then you pull back and that's where a cut was probably. And they're so clever with where those edits are. It's very Birdman, it's very rope. I like all that so much. Very 1917. They do a great job there with it. It took me a bit to realize, oh wait, these are all long take scenes,
Mm-hmm.
sequences, episodes. And it doesn't feel like a gimmick because working in this sort of environment, there's enough stress and anxiety where it's like, oh my God, it feels like it's going on forever because it is to
Mm-hmm.
these people. So that's why it worked in Birdman for me. That's why it works for me here. It's why it works in those sort of things in Babylon for me. It it's some of the best television filmmaking I think that I've seen this year.
Yeah.
And to think 20 years ago to just be like, oh, the cameraman from Anchorman, that guy.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're just saying Seth Rogen, but there are 5 names on the creators list there,
Yes.
including Evan Goldberg, his creative partner,
Yes.
Peter Hike, I
Hoik.
want to say Hu Hoik,
Uh,
Alex Gregory, and Frida Perez. Look, great job. The writers, they did a great job. It feels really reductive to just sort of say, great job, everyone did a good job, everyone did a good job. But when you're a project that just happens to be kind of firing on all cylinders, it's hard to really come up with negative things or criticisms. There are probably like little things as you watch where it's like, oh, this could have been done a little bit differently, or this to this. We talked about Sui Wonders. Quinn, then that once again is like, oh, I just want to see more. It's not so much a criticism as actually it's a television series. I would love for them to keep going because I want to see more.
Yeah.
So.
No. And if we agreed, we have the same rating. We both gave this show a 4.5 out of 5 reels. Like it was just, it's special. And I love I will say, I got to give the show its props because its marketing material, the posters, everything have been great and very reminiscent of old Hollywood, as you saw with that graphic we just had up. But there are other posters and whatnot that you can see, and you see that stuff, and it's just like they really pulled no punches here.
As much as I enjoy Seth Rogen in front of the camera, I think that he does some of his most interesting and creatively fulfilling work behind the camera as a producer and writer and director, with a lot of that stuff between the studio and, you know, when he did stuff like, you know, the massively underrated, even though it's really awesome, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Just like stuff like that, where it's like, let's just go out on a limb. Let's just try something. Let's do this.
He's one of the executive producers on The Boys, Invincible.
Very fun stuff there. Like
Platonic, which you and I were talking about.
Platonic, like this is the second great. Because I love Platonic too. This is the second great series starring Seth Rogen released on Apple TV. He's got a thing going, and I mean,
especially as a producer, because I almost forgot about his producing role in Pam and Tommy, along with
Pam and Tommy is a lot of fun. I'm looking at the producing roles for Point Grey, and like there's only a couple things that I'm not like totally in love with. I don't like Game Over Man. I think that Sausage Party is fine. I just think it's a joke that goes on too long. I think I don't like Miller's Girl. I have no idea how that became a Point Grey movie. But you know, look, here's the thing though. When you do tons of projects, not everything is always going to hit. No. So it's fine, because at least Miller's Girl tried to do something interesting. It didn't work, but at least he tried to do something interesting. They have all sorts of projects still in the pipeline too, and then they have all these TV shows. Oh, I liked Black Monday. I really liked Future Man. Preacher was really fun. I, as a fan of the comics of Preacher, I wish there were some more things that kind of like adhered to the stories in there. But I like that the show kind of did its own thing to kind of stand on its own, which is cool. Similar to I guess like how Last of Us kind of does stuff that's both exactly like it, but also very different. There's this docu-series that he produced called Paul T. Goldman on Peacock. An insane TV show, just an insane thing. They do this stuff and they just got all this cool like projects, and it just makes me more interested in seeing what they're doing, because I think that, funny enough, and then we'll wrap up here, studios really, sometimes they branch out, sometimes they do stuff they find to be safe, and they'll trick you into wanting to see it, and then after you see, you're like, this is awful. What do you mean we watched the Emoji Movie? Like we had to pay money to go see this sort of thing. Yes. And here they're able to split the difference in terms of, you know, just like talking about Inside Baseball versus general like audience stuff. They're able to split the difference between what works best artistically versus what's commercial. It's really just like, it's a great cocktail, I think, of just everything you like.
No,
great room for growth from a really great like first season.
Yes, I hope it does get a second season, because you know after TV shows, it's hit and miss. And I do
one season or it's 4.
Yeah, I there's a joke I love that I feel like is very prevalent in today's world towards in the last 2 episodes. So I just gotta say, like, just remember, folks, fuck Amazon, fuck Amazon. No, but thank you guys for tuning in and checking out this review of The Studio. Jeff and I might do a spoiler review because there's a lot of moments in this show we want to talk about. We might
do mini-sodes for each individual episode. We'll see how we could. We'll do every 2 weeks or something. It depends on our availability.
I mean, this is also one of those things. The show doesn't come out for another 2-3 weeks. So we can knock it out.
Mm-hmm.
But
We'll see how it
either
goes.
way, yeah, we'll see
Loved
how
it.
it goes. Loved it, just absolutely loved it. Have a ton of praise for it. So yeah. But if you haven't already, keep checking out our sister channel, Watt Gaming, and our Twitch, twitch.tv/WattReal. Like above Jeff's head over there. That's where all of our Twitch streams go to live after the fact of video on demand. So go check those out. And yeah, just check out the studio, folks. I promise it is well worth the time and investment. Seth Rogen is gold.
Mm-hmm.
So signing off, I am Matt. That is Jeff. And this was another Real Review. We'll see you next time.